Hola, mi nombre es Lucy Treviso, con la Cámara de Comercio Latina del Norte de Colorado.
Hola, mi nombre es Melissa Zúñiga, tesorera de la Cámara de Comercio Latina del Norte del Colorado. Y nosotros somos una organización en el norte de Colorado que se enfoca en pequeños negocios latinos y emprendedores. El día de hoy les traemos una serie de videos donde hemos entrevistado a varios líderes de nuestra comunidad para traerles y brindarles más información sobre el tema de inmigración.
I'm Jeff Swoboda, the police chief in Fort Collins. I just want to make sure that all residents here in Fort Collins know that Fort Collins Police Services is here for you. If you've been the victim of a crime, if you've witnessed a crime, never let your immigration status get in the way of calling us. We are here to help you. We only employ professionals, people who care about you and this community, and we're there to help. Our mission statement is safety and service for all, and that means all. We don't care where people were born. We're here to make sure Fort Collins becomes the safest community in the country, and that will take all of us.
How is the Fort Collins Police Department working with federal immigration authorities, and what is the balance between local police and immigration enforcement?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We aren't working with immigration. They haven't asked us for their assistance, and whether it's through policy or through state law, we don't enforce immigration laws. So there is no interaction that we really have. They are in town from time to time, but they do their business, and we don't interact or go out with them.
Okay. What challenges does the department face when addressing crimes or incidents involving undocumented immigrants?
I think right off the bat, we're challenged because people don't trust the police. So there are times where police won't even be called. So we won't know that a crime has occurred, somebody is a victim. So I think right off the bat, we're dealing with trust issues. From time to time, there are language issues. So being able to communicate, depending on what language the person is speaking, and then the officer's ability to speak that language. So there could be some technological help with that, where we're on the phone and passing a phone back and forth, or having a phone on speaker, but that makes it a little more difficult. But I think the biggest issue is just people wondering, if I call the police, am I going to be in trouble? And I can tell you here in Fort Collins Police Services, victims, witnesses, they have nothing to worry about with their immigration status. We need people to call us when they've been harmed, and so that justice can be served. They need to be able to heal in whatever the crime was that they were the victim of, and they do not have to worry about their immigration status and when they're calling Fort Collins Police Services.
Do I run the risk of deportation if I get pulled over or call police for a domestic dispute?
So first, pulled over and a domestic are two very different calls, obviously. Let me start by saying, if you have a warrant for your arrest, yes, because then you're going to jail, and that really increases the chances of you having conversations with immigration officials. However, if you're on if you've committed a traffic violation and it's something where you're just getting a ticket and you're a licensed driver, you have insurance, then that's going to be handled right then and there. There's no way to check on immigration status for our officers out there in the field. Now, if you're a victim of domestic violence, absolutely not. We want to help the victim heal. We want to help the victim get justice. And then on the flip side, if you are the person who is committing the crime of domestic violence, yes, because if you're committing crimes here in Fort Collins, you're going to go to jail. And if you're in jail, that would increase your opportunities to have more conversations with immigration. So kind of to round that all up, law-abiding citizens that are not out there committing crimes, there's no way for police officers to know your immigration status. If you have a warrant or you're committing crimes, yes, because then you're getting arrested, and then the odds of you being deported, my guess would be much higher. Although, again, we don't have any control of that, so I can't say whether it's for certain or what percentage that would be.
Do my fingerprints get shared with ICE if I am arrested?
So anybody that's arrested and goes to the jail, the Larimer County Sheriff's Office releases the names and pictures of all the people who have been arrested. So anybody can check who's in jail. Secondly, if you are arrested and your fingerprints go into the national databases, law enforcement has the ability to check who's in various jails. And so I'm going outside of what I know for certain, but my guess would be absolutely immigration officials can check who's in what jails based on fingerprint statuses, and know that Jeff Swoboda is in the Larimer County jail because we have their fingerprints. And that's any arrest. That's not just people who are undocumented.
Do I run the risk of ICE picking me up if I attend a local court?
Okay, so the courts, again, are run by the sheriff's office, and so they're the ones who provide all the security, and that is outside the jurisdiction. So Fort Collins Police Services is the city of Fort Collins, and the sheriff's office is responsible for all unincorporated areas in the county, and they also run the jail and the courts and things like that. So we don't have any control of what happens inside the courthouse. Just like any other person, police officers, Fort Collins officers walk through, we go through the same metal detectors as anybody else and go to our court location, what room we're in, but we do not have anything to do with what happens inside the courthouse.
What if I do have a criminal record, such as DUI, DWAI, domestic dispute? Do I run a higher risk of getting picked up by ICE?
So again, I can't really comment on who ICE is looking for on any given time. I can tell you for local police departments, local Fort Collins Police Services, your criminal history is not going to have anything to do with our interaction. Now again, if you didn't go to court and you have a warrant, then yes, because you're going to be arrested and you're going to go to jail, and that again increases the opportunity that you'll have conversations with ICE. But as far as your criminal history, if you're not currently committing crimes in Fort Collins, that's what we're concerned with. Fort Collins Police Services is here for, our mission statement is safety and service for all. And so that means anybody that calls for help, we show up and we handle that situation. The fact that 5 years ago you had a DUI, as long as you don't have a warrant, has no bearing on how we interact with people.
Does Fort Collins Police Department report an individual to ICE?
No. If we arrest someone, then they go to jail, as we've talked about, and so that's a whole separate system. And police officers are unable to check the immigration status of anybody. We don't go out and enforce the laws differently depending on who we're talking to, so it's not something that we can, I wouldn't think of a mechanism why we would report somebody to ICE. If they have a warrant, they go to jail. If they don't have a warrant and I'm talking to someone, I don't know what their immigration status is. It's not something we can run and determine. So I can't think of a time where we would then call ICE for anything.
Well, it kind of leads to my next question. And does the Fort Collins Police Department have any agreements that would allow a police officer to act as an immigration agent?
No, I know the program that you're talking about in Fort Collins is not, and to my knowledge, has never been. But I've been here going on 7 years, and we've never been a part of any program where officers become ICE agents.
Is a Fort Collins police officer allowed to ask me about my immigration status?
Fort Collins Police Service officers are not allowed to ask about immigration status. There's no need for us to know that. If an officer is asking those types of questions, I think it's really important that the person notifies a supervisor. All of us wear these things, cameras which record the interactions with our community. And if police officers are asking questions on immigration status in violation of our policy or state law, probably the quickest way to no longer be a police officer in Fort Collins.
Esperamos que el día de hoy, a través de estos videos, hemos contestado algunas de sus preguntas o inquietudes.
Si usted desea más información, lo podemos dirigir a través de nuestros contactos hacia la persona indicada. También, si gustan seguirnos en las redes sociales, ahí pondremos más información sobre cada uno de estos recursos.